Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Alley AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Zux doesn't need your bucks, and Miseri does not need your muleri. I will stop rhyming, but there is something better than meta. No, I will stop rhyming. If you put all of your eggs in one meta basket, you're probably just going to get broken eggs, and we don't want that. So I'm here to tell you to diversify your adscape. Who am I first? I'm the slightly taller one, the bald one there, and I'm the creative director of Social Firefly, and we're obsessed with trying to find new ways to reach very niche audiences. Now, I'm not saying don't use Meta. It's still got massive reach in the UK and globally. It's still worth testing Meta with audiences, of course it is. But in some instances, it just isn't the right location to reach your correct audience. So we're going to have a look at some case studies to kind of demonstrate this. Firstly, we've got Beat. They're the UK's eating disorder charity. And Beat are pretty well known across the UK. We worked with them on a couple of different things, including fundraising, but also trying to get people with eating disorders and their carers services from Beat. The issue was that they weren't reaching the younger audiences that they needed to reach. Now, when we look at the different audiences, carers are older, they're probably more likely going to engage in Meta, and they were. They're potentially parents of those with an eating disorder. But the younger audiences are the ones that potentially do have an eating disorder. They're often younger, 75% are women, and there's approximately 1.25 million of them in the UK. Now, we ran ads on Meta, on Instagram, and on Facebook, and we were getting pretty good traffic from an older audience. We weren't necessarily getting the traffic we wanted from a younger audience. Now, you'll shout at me, well, you can change your audience and you can try to reach them through Instagram, but we all know younger audiences aren't using Instagram as much as they used to, and they're moving to places like TikTok. Unfortunately, Beat's a small charity, doesn't have the resources to go into TikTok and make the best use of it. So we decided if we want to try to reach this audience, we'll go for Spotify. We'll go and have a look at Spotify. Now, when you think about social media advertising, you go straight to Meta, and you don't really think that Spotify is the right location, but it really is. It reaches a lot of people. There's 626 million active users, and 92% of those who have Spotify use it every single day. So there's massive potential to reach the right type of audiences. Most importantly, the people who use the free version of Spotify are normally younger people. And this is where your advertising is going to be heard more often. Yes, it can be heard by people that are listening to podcasts, even on the premium, but it's this younger audience that we really wanted to reach. Specifically, we had an issue in York. So we're going to go into a very specific local area in the UK where there wasn't enough referrals coming from York, despite having funding there for this eating disorder services. So we created some ads using some of the content that worked well within Meta, the different imagery. Now this is how they appear if you look at them on your phone. They also appear in the side on a desktop. But the great thing about them is there's audio as well, and that audio is free. You can add your own audio if you want, but you can upload a script, and Spotify for free will create your audio ad. It works really well. You can even ask them for a specific a specific kind of accent, which we did for York, which helps to grab attention of people that we were trying to target. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by showing you how you create the ads, because they're so similar to every other platform, and every other platform basically copies Meta. So it's really easy to create them. We went for a clicks campaign, and what's really interesting about Spotify, now we didn't use this feature specifically, the contextual playlists, but I find this really interesting. We've used it for other clients. 75% of Spotify listeners say they remember ads more when their ads recognize their moment or setting. So with contextual playlists, say you're running an ad for a yoga studio, you can target people listening to exercise playlists, for instance. Works really, really nicely. But also you've got music genres, you've got fan bases and interests. For this one specifically, because it was really localized, we didn't end up using the interests, etc. But for another one, an orchestra, we decided to target people who were interested in classical music, and that worked really well in Brighton. But for this one, we went really broad, and we just targeted all of York with the idea of trying to reach carers and that younger audience. Before I show you the results, a couple of things you need to know. You can't skip them, the ads, if you've got the free account. You can do an audio script, it's essential, but you can upload your own audio as well if you want. VoiceOver is included in the price. The minimum is 250 ad spend. I mean, that's great. For like a really small charity, trying to reach a small niche area, 250 is great. And you get free audio as part of that. And you can track everything just like Meta through a pixel. So what happened? Now, we had a bigger click-through rate within Meta, but that was mostly from that older audience. When we used Spotify, we had a lower bounce rate, and 44% of all the clicks came from that younger audience that we wanted to reach without having to specifically push for that younger audience. Like I say, we could have tried to push in Instagram and increase these clicks from this younger audience, but it would have been more expensive, and we all know it would have been more expensive. Plus, Spotify users spend 66% more time on the website. So, we might not have been reaching as many people and getting loads of click-throughs, but we were reaching more of the right people who wanted to read the website and who were interested. After the campaign, it was even better. We continued to see a 20% bounce rate. We continued to see a high dwell time on the York page specifically, and continued to see traffic from York. And most importantly, we saw an increase in self-referrals within York. All extremely important, because Spotify was the only ads, alongside some of the Meta stuff that we did, that helped achieve this in York. So it's really, really tight targeting, and it really works for reaching a very specific audience. Next, we're going to move on to a very different client, One Acre Fund. Now, they supply smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa with everything they need to grow more crops and earn more money. Now, with 1 Acre Fund, they do really well on Meta as well. We reach loads of people globally. But we wanted to specifically reach people who are interested in the world. They're interested in climate resilience and probably want to learn more about what we're doing with farmers in Africa. So we decided to test with 2 different campaigns, WeAre8. Now, WeAre8 is a really kind of new platform. It's been around a few years. It's something a bit different. There's 1.4 million active users in the UK. And in the UK, they do have the ability to reach 1 in 3 UK citizens with their premium publisher extension, a bit like Meta's audience network. So it's a really interesting place to be. Now, what's great about it is it has this brilliant organic engagement. There's a lot of celebrities in there. There's a lot of interesting creatives engaging within there. But the most important thing that we thought for this client specifically was that people much preferred WeAre8 because It drives positive change in the world, it supports environmental causes, it supports mental health. Everything, all of the research that we saw about WeAre8 made us think One Acre Fund's audience is probably here. It's people who care about the world. On top of that, there's more attention. When we look at WeAre8 versus the other main kind of video platforms, you get more attention within WeAre8 than any of the others. So in all of the others, so this is a study, by the way, from Lumen where they were looking at kind of eye tracking. All of the others, you're probably double screening a lot of the time when you're looking at Instagram. With WeAre8, that's not happening as much as it is in other places. So you're getting more attention for your money. It's also a really different advertising model where 54% of the spend goes to 8 citizens. They don't like the word users. So 8 citizens are the people who are using the platform. 5% all automatically is donated to charity as well. And the rest is either goes into profit, obviously, or goes into more charities. Now, when we're looking at the environmental impact, you get 67% more attention than Instagram ads per gram of CO2 emitted. So as soon as you begin to hear these little stats, you begin to think, well, the people who really like the environment and want to find ways to mitigate climate change are going to be interested here. 82% are happy to watch ads. You have to opt in to watch an ad. So you know that they already have attention. You already have their attention. 2 in 3 feel more positive, and the click-through rate is so much higher than the industry average. So this is what it looks like. A user, a citizen, opts in, they watch a brand video, they answer a question, which I really like, and we'll get onto that a little bit, and then they click to a CTA. At the end, they're given a micropayment. Every single user gets a micropayment for watching ads. So that's really interesting because suddenly the people watching ads are not the products anymore, and they're getting something for their attention. But the even better point about this is that most users, well, 40% I think it was, they donate those micropayments to charities. So again, a really interesting place for other non-profits and charities to be advertising. Now, I've already said that you have to opt in. You can't set this up yourself, so you can't set up the ads yourself within WeAre8. An account manager does it for you, but they send you regular reports. And the minimum is £50 a day, plus you can track everything via UTMs. Now, moving on to the actual campaigns, we ran 2 different campaigns. One, this one is the More Than a Tree campaign. It's the most recent one. We were focusing on farmers' livelihoods. We wanted people to learn about the impact trees have on climate resilience, and we had kind of a quiz format and a donation CTA at the end. Now, the great thing about this ad specifically is we had a campaign video that we were using across multiple channels, and we wanted people to watch all the way through, but we also wanted to learn what people thought about the video and what people know about climate resilience. And from those questions, we can retarget people. Great thing about WeAre8, we get almost 100% completion of campaign videos. So we know that people in WeAre8 will have watched that video all the way through and now know the message that we were trying to deliver about trees and about climate resilience. In Meta, it's a lot lower, a lot lower. But, I mean, even that's quite good in Meta, really. Click-through rate was much higher in WeAre8, and people waiting for the page to load, 100% of those who clicked waited for the page to load, was only 65% in Meta. So these are still pretty good stats for Meta. We're still reaching the right people. But we know that it's WeAre8 if we want more attention. Next, we have Farm to Thrive, and this was run during COP28. It's a slightly different campaign. It's focusing on climate crisis. The idea was to reach general members of the public, but also people who are activists. And that's where WeAre8 again comes in handy, because there's a lot of activists there that care about the environment. Again, it's slightly different in terms of who we're trying to reach, but the quiz format came into fore again, meaning we can retarget people depending on their answers. What happened? 6% click-through rate overall. We had a little issue with UTMs and we forgot to track as well as we should have. So it was only an 18% waiting for the page load, but still better than Meta. I've rhymed again. 97% watched the video to completion. Now the video, I would argue, maybe just wasn't as good as the More Than a Tree one, and maybe that's why we haven't got the 99% here and we've got a much lower percentage of completion there. But again, what you can see is by mixing WeAre8 and Meta together, we are getting more attention for this specific campaign. We're gathering more insights from the very specific audience that we want to reach. And we are also at the same time offsetting our carbon, 2 tons of carbon offset by just running these campaigns with WeAre8 rather than other platforms, which again is brilliant for a non-profit who cares about the climate to tell people. So, one of the learnings overall, Meta is not better, but it's still great. Attention is so much better on WeAre8, and if you really want somebody to watch an entire campaign video, then it's worth doing. There's even commercial businesses that are using it because they want to come across as, one, good people, but two, they want that full attention as well from these type of audiences. WeAre8 helps us better understand user motivations. So the quiz format is incredibly brilliant because we can really understand how all of our audiences feel and retarget them based on their responses. And finally, beat Spotify web visitors were more interested than Meta users. So Spotify specifically was really, really great for getting the specific conversions we wanted, which was self-referrals into the service. So takeaways. Don't plump for Meta. You don't have to always go for Meta. There are other channels that you should be testing. Meta can be great, but it's not the only one. Test new channels. So WeAre8 is still fairly new and a lot of people haven't tested it yet, and it's really worth doing now, especially as they expand into Australia and the US. It's really worth getting on the ground as soon as possible and engaging a little bit more with WeAre8, with that very specific audience who care about the world and care about charities. Choose channels that align with your audience's ethics and values. So that's one thing that I think we probably learned from WeAre8. They were so much more interested. They engaged much more, and even after the campaign, we've seen clicks continue from WeAre8, and we've seen people continue to engage, and we'll definitely use it again. Multi-channel marketing is the GOAT. Do not put all of your eggs into that one Meta basket. It really is necessary to engage with a multitude of different platforms. And it's not just what happens during the campaign. So specifically, you saw that with the B case study. So we didn't spend an awful lot of money within that Spotify campaign, but it really helped generate more brand awareness, specifically within the York area where they were having issues. And it continued to have impact, and it continues to have impact now. And that is 2 minutes early. I thought I was going to go way beyond that, but if you want the slides, they're there. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm there. Thank you very much.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.